Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the LNUR Line podcast for LEGO train fans around the world. In this episode of LNUR Line, we've got four members from LNUR, which is LEGO Northern UK Railway. We're a LEGO train group based in the UK. We've got myself, Richard, aka Bricks McGee. We have Matt Dawson, who is our audio technician for the podcast.
Hello.
We have William Elliott.
All right.
And Chris Miller.
Oh.
So we're going to be talking about trains on LEGO Ideas today, and our first guest is Steve Mays, aka Brickness, who has a LEGO model of Rocket on LEGO Ideas at the moment, and we'll share that link for you in descriptions and things, so you can have a look. So welcome, Steve.
Hi everyone.
Do you want to give a bit of a? I know it's hard on audio, but do you want to give a bit of an overview of the model, what it is, what size it is, how many parts it has?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the Rocket is something that I've built out of Lego a few times now. Actually, I did one a couple of years ago for an exhibition about great things from the north of England. And then I've also built another one that's a lot bigger than this one, actually, for an exhibition that should have been opening about now at the Centre for Life, but obviously is delayed because of coronavirus. So a couple of weeks ago, I thought I'd do a smaller version that was that you could actually build. So I designed it in the studio software, and I've uploaded it onto the LEGO Ideas website, which is the first thing I've ever uploaded on there. The idea for it really was, I mean, I should confess that I'm not a massive train fan, but I've been drawn to the Rocket. I think if anyone knows my work, it's mostly architectural stuff. But I think as a broader description, it's kind of great design that I'm interested in. I'm really taken by the Stephenson Rocket, and I feel I know it really well now. And I wanted to do something that wasn't really in the line of LEGO train sets as such, but was more of a sort of collector's edition, same size and scale as, well, not scale, same size as things like the camper van and the Bond car, that kind of thing. So I think there's about 1,300 parts in it. Yeah, about that. And it measures, I'm not sure the length actually, but it's got a base that's 5 of those 16 by 16 plates. So that's the length of it. And it's up on LEGO Ideas now.
Hey, thanks. What was your experience as a first project to post? What was your experience of LEGO Ideas?
Of putting it on there?
Yeah. How did you? I've not been through that because I've not really built anything I really want to submit to LEGO Ideas, I don't think.
Right. I actually found it really, really straightforward. So and what was funny about this was I only decided on the Sunday night that I was going to do this. I designed it in a couple of mornings and uploaded it by the Tuesday night. And my impression was it would go live straight away, but I hadn't realised they have to sort of verify it. And at the moment, that's delayed. It's normally a couple of days, but because there's so many people doing this apparently because of lockdown, they're a bit backlogged. So it took about a week for it to go live. But the website is incredibly easy to use. And very intuitive, and you don't need to put a lot of information on there, so it's quite easy to get it up. And then it went live after a week, and since then I've just been trying to push it and promote it.
I think that's the hard bit, isn't it? Getting 10,000 votes to get it into the next.
Yeah, and that's the area which I had absolutely no idea about, and it's had a good start. So the first target is to get, you need 100 votes in 60 days. Now I think that's a fairly easy target because I did that in the first day quite easily. So I thought, that's a great start. And then obviously it drops off because I think you must get a massive boost when you first tell people, especially if you've got a bit of a following on social media anyway. But it's doing good. I think it's about 420 at the moment.
Yeah, 423 from what I can see, and it's not been very long, has it? So
no, it's been
doing
up,
pretty well.
10 days or something. So I've basically got 400 days to get to the next cut-off, which of 1,000. So I think that's without getting complacent, I think that's easily achievable. And what I haven't done yet is an awful lot of things that I could do to promote it. I haven't done any boosting of posts on social media. I've been in touch with, so I had an inquiry from Make It York, who are kind of a bit like the Tourist Information in York, but wider than that, about another project. And I've mentioned it to them, and they're quite happy to promote it. And they've got good links with the National Railway Museum. So I think once places like that can start talking about it, I'm hoping that it will gather some steam, so to speak.
Unintended.
But I think getting to 1,000 will be relatively easy. But I think after that, 10,000 is still a massive jump.
Yes, it is a bit. How long do you get for the 10,000? Does anybody know off the top of the head?
You get another. I think you get another 6 months. But if I hit it, so I've got 414 days or something now to get to 1,000. But if I had a massive boost and hit 1,000 tomorrow, I wouldn't lose those days. I'd get another 6 months added onto that 414.
Oh, okay.
So the quicker you do it, the better.
Hopefully it's doable, and it works. It's an excellent model. There are quite a few variations of the rocket locomotives. So which one have you based for Lego model?
Yeah, good question. So it's based on the one that's held at it's a replica at the National Railway Museum in York, and it's the other two versions I've done were the same. I based it on the same one, mainly because I think that if anyone, I'm sure you all know it really well, the yellow paintwork is really striking. Compared to, so we had the actual original one is still in existence, of course, and that's mostly black, and I think it's not quite as striking as a build. So I've gone for the yellow paintwork one.
I definitely approve of the yellow.
Sorry?
Definitely approve of the yellow.
Yeah, I think it's just a really nice colour scheme, and then you bring in some of the gold pieces that you can get in Lego, and I just think it's a really nice one to build out of Lego.
It is. I think from Lego trains, as we'll discuss later, but Lego trains don't have a great history of making it through. There is one actually at the moment. There is one at the moment in the 10,000 Woods Club.
Yeah. Which one's that?
The Queen one, isn't it? But let's be honest, that.
Oh yeah.
It's not great. I think.
Yeah, I've got no idea about. I didn't, to be honest, as with a lot of things I do, I didn't do a massive amount of research first. I had a quick look to see if there was another rocket on there, and there is one, but it's well, I don't know what to say. It's not the same level of detail, let's say. So and as I said before, I don't have a great knowledge about all the train stuff that's gone on with Lego. So yeah, maybe it is a bit of a long shot, but I think. I just think that it's such a big market, the interest in trains.
Yeah, I think of all the Lego train models I've seen on Lego Ideas, this is one that I think does have the potential, and hopefully it will make the cut as well.
Yeah, well, I'm not holding out a great deal of hope that it will actually get made. I don't know what percentage of those that hit 10,000 actually end up being sets. Does anyone know?
The last
about 10 or 20, and they'll whistle that down to 1 or 2. So
right, yeah. But I think, for me, it's like I've known about Lego Ideas for a long time, and I've never had time to do anything for it. So I think it's just a good process to have gone through and to put one on there. And if all it does is it increase the exposure of what I do, then that's great. And if all I end up with is a little set that because I'm trying to build it at the moment. As you'll have seen, it's just a digital render at the moment. But I'm about halfway through trying to build it for real. That'd be a nice little thing to have. And I'm changing. That's the other thing. I'm changing quite a bit now that I'm actually building it. I don't know if that breaks any of the sort of guidelines for this kind of thing, but I can't see how.
I think even when if Lego do get their hands on it, the result is often they change quite a bit of it.
Yeah, anyway. Well, and that's one of the reasons I'm trying to build it, because I knew doing it in the software that some parts of it are so fragile that you couldn't possibly do it. So I'm trying to work out a way of making it a little bit stronger. But I'm sure if it did happen, it would be. I think my main concern would be, obviously, no one wants it changed too much, but if they kept the same size, there's a couple of constraining factors for this. So for me, it was the main sort of barrel at the front. I don't know what you'd call it, the circular bit. So that's what I started with, trying to get that as round as I could, and then worked everything from there. I think you'd struggle to do it. You could do it smaller, but I think you'd lose a lot of detail.
I think it's a nice scale because, like you say, it does feel like the sort of scale that the VW camper van is.
Yeah,
it's about time we had a train in that scale, I would say.
Yeah, I think it could look really good. One of the main problems I've had is the wheels, and I possibly should have started with the front wheel as a constraining factor because I've used one of the biggest wheels you can get from Lego, a motorcycle one, and it's a bit small, not massively. It's a bit small scale wise, and I know they won't make any new parts. This is the question I had though. Does anyone know if they recolor parts for Lego idea sets?
I think they will do.
As far as I'm aware, you can have recolors, but not new parts.
Yeah, so
you've got custom
they might
prints as well, so it seems likely.
So all the wheels I've got on there should be yellow, but none of them come. I'm going to upload a picture soon. I might send it to you guys first. With if you made it out of only pieces in those colours, you'd have the front wheels would be black completely, and it doesn't look too bad. But it would be nice if they did make it to recolour those pieces so that they were yellow.
That leads quite nicely on to my next question, which was the most challenging part of the model? Was it the wheels, or was there another area where you really struggled to get it built and looking right in that sort of scale?
What surprised me about it was, and I think it's because, well, Richard, you've seen the big one that I've built that will be at the Centre for Life for the next few months. It's many times bigger than that, and I've loved building that. So I know that model, that structure inside out. I think from doing other models. So it amazed me how quick it was for me to design it in the software. Like I say, a couple of mornings really, but even so, the wheels were fiddle because what I thought I was going to have to do was brick build the front wheels, and I spent a long time trying to angle hinges and things in the software to make a proper circle. I don't know if anyone's been trying to do that with anything, but it's practically impossible.
Never fun. It's never fun with hinges in studio.
Yeah, trying to get them to join up, and then I was thinking about using some of that pneumatic hose to kind of clip around the edge of it to make a nice looking tyre. And you probably could do that. But I couldn't find a way of doing it very quickly in studio. So, and then I discovered that big wheel, which was close enough to get away with.
I think it's a reasonable compromise for the model, but it may be one of those things that in review they might change it, might leave it.
Considering it's not in considerable size, is it not just big enough that you could potentially brick build a wheel?
Yeah,
because it wouldn't roll anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's perfectly round.
Well, I was just saying that I tried. In fact, well, if you ever see the bigger one I've done, all the wheels are brick built because there's nothing anywhere near the size I needed, and I think you could do it pretty nicely, but I was struggling to do it in the software. So I think, and I don't know. The other thing about it is that actually the weight for this would be supported by the wheels. To some extent, and if you brick built it, that might be a little bit more fragile. I don't know, to be honest. I think I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about it because if it got to them doing it, it's kind of out of my hands to some extent.
I would imagine that they would have trans bricks in between the wheels anyway.
Yeah, it's going to have something supporting it. In fact, the way it's going to be built is going to be quite a strange way to do it in terms of the different sections because. Just because of weight issues and making sure it's stable. And that to be honest, my biggest concern about it is not really the design of it. It's more well, I suppose it is a design issue, but it's not the look of it. It's the structural stability of it and whether Lego would build something that is as fragile as this currently is. I'm trying to work on ways to improve it. But even the bit at the back, the sort of carriage with the big barrel on it has got some of the structure is just one plate wide, and I'm not sure they would do that. But I'm not going to worry about that at this stage.
I think it's something they can always review, but the look of the model, it feels everything seems to be in scale to each other, and it works quite well.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I mean, I'm a bit
Do you
of a
have a
perfectionist
favourite
with scale.
section?
Sorry?
Did you have a favourite section?
Favourite section?
The one that just came together really easily, that just worked straight away, or one that you really like the look of?
Yeah, actually, I think the bit at the front, below where the white funnel is, on the actual real model, it's quite a curvy section. And on the larger one I've built, I've really struggled with getting that right. But there's a couple of pieces, those sort of quarter round bricks they are, quarter circle ones. Do you know the ones I mean? That kind of make a dome. Quarter dome.
I like those pieces.
Sorry?
I like those pieces. They're really
they've worked almost perfectly for that. So that was a bit that I was worried about, and actually happened really quickly. But the fiddliest bit is the bits on the side, the kind of piston bits. And the way that's connected currently is it's just been rotated by 45 degrees, but there's nothing, you couldn't do it like that in real life because it would just flop around a bit or be easily knockable. So there's quite a lot of, if it was to become a set, there's quite a lot of things to resolve to make it a stable model, but it's doable.
I think it looks the part. That's quite a nice overview of it, and we can hopefully put some photos together and add the video of the YouTube version of this podcast. Okay. Do Chris or Will or Matt have any questions for Steve?
Mostly just to wish him good luck, because it's about time something on this train, an actual train, got through on this.
Thank you. But if anyone has any tips as well, or suggestions for ways of doing things, particularly with wheels, then I'm happy to hear them.
I have a suggestion for the yellow wheels, which may make you feel a bit better.
Okay.
As you may know, on the Ideas website, that have done well but have failed usually get stolen by Lepin. So you might be in luck, because they might make some yellow wheels for you when they steal your idea.
I couldn't go. Lepin's still in existence. Thought they got raided.
Well, they just changed their name.
You may knock a few of them out, but they'll all come back.
Right. Yeah. True.
I look forward to your Lepin model.
Also, are we going to get a sequel with for the coaches?
Well, do you know what? I'd never even looked at the coaches particularly, but that's something that you could do, of course, isn't it? You could you could add to it a bit like the modulars.
I think at that scale as well, you'd probably be able to make a really fine-looking coach out of Lego.
Yeah.
There's a fair bit of detail, but you've got enough space to play with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I've not thought about that. Yeah. I'll see how this one goes.
We appear to have lost Carter.
Oh dear.
Anybody else got any questions for him whilst we wait for Carter to come back? There he is.
Is he back?
He's back, I think. No, he's not.
Wide is the model?
What? Any other questions?
How wide is the model?
Oh, how wide is it? Well,
I think it was about 60 centimeters long. So
yeah. Well, the back bit, I don't know what you call it, but the bit with the barrel on, it actually uses a 16 by 16 plate in yellow, which doesn't exist, but you could do it with smaller. So that's the same width as the base. The actual front bit is a bit thinner because it is in real life. But the technique for the back barrel and the main sort of engine bit is the same, pretty much the same as has been used on things like the rocket. The rocket. Yeah, the Saturn V rocket. I mean, rather than Stephenson rocket. With using the curved. And I'm not entirely happy with it. It's not a complete circle. It's got that kind of slightly squared off look to it, and the lines go the wrong way. if you know what I mean, the joins, because it's a wooden thing. The wood sort of goes the other direction in the real thing.
Okay.
So Richard, on that big one I've done, I've got hinge bricks all the way around, and it's kind of on its side, if you remember, which makes it look like that's the way the wood's going. I think you could do it. You could do it that way, but I just knew that Lego wouldn't produce one like that. It's too fragile to use hinge bricks.
I think, in fairness, as somebody who spent his entire life surrounded by trains and is very good at being a pedant, I hadn't noticed that until you mentioned it, so I think we're all right.
Bill is basically the world's biggest pedant for trains.
Yeah. Well, that's
got away.
I'm not quite as actually as Pete, but I'm not far off.
That's the other thing about trains, I think, is you've really got to make sure you get. If Lego did produce one, they could probably compromise less on something like this than anything else, because you've got to make sure it's right.
Train fans are a hard audience, please.
Where the pipes go and that kind of thing.
I don't know. My experience of Lego and their interactions with trains is they compromise hard on trains. It's all about the playability, so.
Well, we'll see.
Do we have any more questions?
It's a long way down the line, and obviously I hope that it gets there, and I'm going to keep working on it and pushing it. But I imagine there'll be times when I get a bit tired of it and it doesn't move on much, and who knows.
Are there any more questions for Steve?
No, I don't think so.
Yes. Will you be working on any underground trains?
Tell him no, Steve.
Go back underground.
No. That's it for trains.
Oh, well, that's me out of this podcast then. Bye!
Thank God.
Is that enough? Is that all you need?
Thanks, Steve, for taking part. It's
yeah, no worries.
We'll let you know when it's ready to go live.
Okay, great. Enjoy the rest of it. Cheers, guys.
I think now Steve has left us. We're still going to continue with the Lego Ideas themes. And what I think the next one to discuss, which we mentioned briefly when we were talking to Steve, was the Miracle Express, which is the theme within the band, a band one. So, what are initial thoughts on that? I think somebody gave it away by sighing there. Who was that? Was that Will?
Yeah, that was Will. I don't want to be that guy who doesn't encourage people who have not done trains before, but that thing is garbage. It's really bad.
Tell me how you really feel, William.
It's literally got through on the brand name alone. The only saving grace is if Lego get their hands on it, and I don't think they will because I can't see them getting an agreement with Queen. If Lego gets their hands on it, it will look nothing like that by the time it gets released.
I think it is it's a model that it's maybe the loco under it. I could imagine maybe appearing as a kind of simple. It kind of reminds me of the My Own Trains line to an extent. It's very heavy.
I understand it was a Great Western loco underneath all that, so they could have literally taken the Harry Potter train, modified it to look like that, and you'd already have it to build.
I think this model itself is kind of a city level model, and that might have been okay, but it's really heavily reliant on printed. I think it looks like it's painted on paper and just stuck to the side. And obviously Lego don't tend to do stickers over multiple parts these days, do they?
Actually, it's against Lego rules to have stickers over multiple parts now.
A lot of the sets of my childhood had stickers over multiple parts, and they obviously didn't survive very well.
And it was a terrible idea, and I'm glad Lego have stopped, yes.
I think I probably agree with Will in that if it does make it and they can reach an agreement with Queen, I would imagine the set actually ends up not looking very much like the set at all.
And actually, to be fair, I would be quite happy for Lego to produce a colour swapped, almost identical Hogwarts castle in a different colour, preferably green, because I think that would be prototypical for Loco. I'm not 100% certain on that. But it would give us some very useful dark green parts. I'd be quite happy for them to redo that build, add some plates on the side for the banners and the new wagon and whatever, and that would actually turn out a half-decent set, which I would be quite happy to buy, even if I had no interest in the Queen aspect of it.
Yeah, I think that's probably my thoughts too. I think it's one of those things though, like a lot of the Lego ideas and the licensed sets, popularity there maybe isn't for us as train fans, it's probably for Queen fans.
I'm a Queen fan and I don't like it.
It's probably more aimed at people who love Queen and have, coasters and posters and T-shirts, and they buy anything with Queen on it.
I think fundamentally it highlights the problem I've always kind of had with ideas, which is ideas isn't about celebrating really clever and amazing building. It's about catching people's attention. The good thing about Rocket is it's a famous locomotive worldwide. It looks interesting. It's slightly better than although it's British, it's one of the first, which means people around the world know about it. They're more interested in it.
Yeah.
Most trains are interesting to the people who live in that country. Whenever you have a European release, the Americans go, "Oh, why can't we have an American diesel?" And when something Americans released, all the Europeans go, "Well, what's that got to do with us?" So the reason trains don't work is each country has their own completely different design aesthetic, which means it's very hard to find a universal thing. Which is why the only train that's got to the final stage is, well, apart from Back to the Future, is Queen.
Oh.
And Back to the Future didn't even go through.
Actually, there was a tram that got through. It was European, but it got to 10,000 votes and then got canned in the selection stage.
Did they explain why?
Not that I know of. I think in the last wave, wasn't there a modular train station with a more modern train in it as well?
That's the current wave.
That's
the same. Did it actually come with the train? I can't remember. But that's got the same problem.
I think the train was. It was certainly in the renders of the.
Oh
model.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that one I suspect is just going to come from the fact that it's going to be quite an expensive build, and not that many people are going to be that desperate for it. Which is a shame because it's a really nice build, but
it is really lovely, that one.
Like most of the really big buildings that come out of ideas, I will have to stop and think about that before I decide to buy that one.
I'm just looking at the pictures of the Queen train. Why have they made John Deacon look like Bruce Willis in Die Hard?
I guess there's limited hair pieces, and they might create a special one.
Dressed as one of the Dixies Midnight Runners playing a bass.
The Brian May figure's quite good. The Freddie Mercury one, I think, needs a bit of work, possibly. I'm not quite sure.
Was that Freddie Mercury? I thought it was Nigel Mansell.
But do you not remember that classic Queen lineup with Nigel Mansell on the front?
That's an image.
Does anyone else have Lego trains in ideas that they want to discuss?
I mean, I look routinely, but I basically support them, the ones I like, and then forget about them entirely. Although, just looking at the recommended, there is actually quite a nice circus train at the moment that looks like it's at least in part inspired by the Hogwarts Castle. And that is quite nice, but it's currently sat on 555 supporters with 338 days left. Porter Brothers Circus Train.
Porter Brothers Circus Train.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'll have a look.
That is actually one that might have a bit of appeal to a wider audience as well.
I'm all up for Lego doing more animal molds for giraffes and things.
They haven't actually included one of them, which is surprising.
Oh.
You're having a giraffe.
The famous ducking giraffe wagon.
Was it a ducking giraffe, or are you just censoring yourself?
No, it is literally a ducking giraffe. There was a Triang car which had giraffes in it, and it would duck below a bridge.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
You have a little bit like one of those uncoupling ramps that just triggers it. Same mechanism that that every train set that did a mail delivery thing used.
I see.
Yeah, that would be quite cool.
That's something. To be fair, that's something I need to. If I ever do design something like that, that's going on ideas straight away. A mail delivery train, because that's a really fun playable feature. That.
Get some on the play out. There you go. Off you build.
Where do you think I'm going to test it?
Ideas trains. There's a rather marvellous yellow Berlin subway train with 43 supporters. Watch this space. This space. Next week it may have
What's it called, Chris?
Berlin subway.
Berlin Subway. I'm finding the search feature on Lego Ideas is not particularly brilliant.
It's a bit temperamental.
Wasn't
Is it
there one
one-
about the Toronto subway as well at some point?
Yes, I think I'd seen that when I did a bit of research before we recorded this. There are some really good things on there, but I think even if they did, I think it's rare. But even if they did reach the 10,000 mark, can't imagine them. The regional trains, so a Canadian train. Are Lego really going to produce that? Is it internationally recognisable?
I'd buy it.
Oh well, there you are. Then you might as well produce it.
I'd buy at least 2.
Yeah, but then you'd build it in orange and call it something from Glasgow.
How dare you?
I think what they'd probably do is do a generic version, but then have different decals or stickers and sell it that way.
It could work. To be fair, something like that is just do a city set generic metro train. Well, you wouldn't call it metro because people would start thinking, "Oh, we're getting the metro line back." But yeah, it doesn't strike me as an ideas train. That strikes me as a Lego city set, which they probably will do one day because they've done too high speed recently.
Are we about out of ideas then? Intended.
Hey.
When are we not?
So our next segment, which is potentially going to become a regular thing, is a loco of the podcast. We get one of our members to talk through one of their loco builds, how they built it, the struggles they had, and answer any questions or probably mockery that we throw their way. So the first guinea pig for this is going to be Will, and I think he's going to use one of his Steam locos. Which one did you pick in the end?
So I'm going with the hot off the press, not actually finished yet, Pugs. Because
Want to describe what sort of loco that is for people who maybe aren't familiar with Pugs?
Yep. So, yeah, exactly. So pugs are actually a pug is a generic term from Scotland to describe a pig ugly engine, basically. Although I don't think they are very ugly, and it's generally described to small 040 saddle tanks used for shunting and mine work and the like. What I have designed is vaguely inspired by the Lancashire and Yorkshire pugs, which are very famous thanks to the old Daypole and Hornby mould. Basically inspired by one of our Brick Alley members who has designed his own pug, and I thought it was quite cute, but I thought, well, I can do better than that because that's how I am.
Such a William thing to think.
I mean, in fairness, he deserves mentioning because it is only his second loco. I think maybe only his first original design. A guy called Andy Back. It is a very nice little loco for what it is, but obviously somebody who's not got a great background in railways and hasn't designed many trains has to start somewhere, and it certainly inspired me. And I made a start on this maybe 6 months ago. I took my Pocket Rocket chassis and redesigned it. Got about as far as the chassis and just ran out of inspiration. Several months later, Andy pops up again on Lego Rail and goes, "Here's my new pug," and it's vastly improved. I looked at it and went, "It is improved quite a lot." But one area it did have a problem with. There was a very digital separation between the bottom of the tank and the top of the boiler at the front of the loco, and that got me thinking. And I went, "All right, I'll just have a quick play on Studio." Half an hour later, Andy, you should try this build on the front of your loco. It'll improve it. He's like, "Oh, that's really good. I might do that." And then I thought, I should do that too. And
Did you at least pick a different colour?
I can't remember what colour his is. My original design was in red. I don't think his was red. Is it blue or black? His? It must be.
It's one of.
It's not black because you've got a definition between the boiler and the saddle. Basically, I chose red because it's a really easy colour to work in because almost everything's available in it. And little tank engine like that, red's not that far off a colour you'd expect it to be. So I designed it, finished designing it a couple of months ago, maybe. Shared the pictures on Facebook. Got some decent responses from everybody involved, and then thought, right, I suppose I ought to do some ordering. Unfortunately, I've been spending an awful lot of money on other Lego things recently, so I haven't got round to it until this month. And the parts are almost all in. I'm waiting for one more order to come in and one Bricklick seller to send me the right chuffing part. And then we'll have two nice little black and red locos. One of which is 9-volt powered with fake rods, and one of which is unpowered with real rods. So yeah, that's about it.
How much have you spent on the on parts for it so far?
That is a good question. Honest answer is I don't know because the parts are ordered at the same time as I ordered parts for another project. But I would imagine it will cost, if it's anything like the Pocket Rocket, which I would have thought it would be roughly around the same as the Pocket Rocket, cost between 50 and 75 depending on how you're powering it, what wheels you're using, and just how lucky you get. Frustratingly, one of the most expensive pieces are the black sausages I'm using for the suspension springs, which are stupidly expensive at about £1 something each.
What set do they come in?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't realise how expensive they were until I was reviewing my orders. I'm like, how much did I pay for those?
I think the black sausages came in that promo HP set about Diagon Alley.
Oh, that won't help.
Oh, the Harry Potter one.
Yeah.
It isn't me.
Right.
It's one awkward
Really
piece.
expensive.
One of the other things I'm quite happy about is I did a bit of experimenting with chimneys and got a really nice, elegant little Victorian chimney for it, which is something I'm not always very happy with in my builds of the chimney. They tend to be a bit simple, a bit oversized, and just not that exciting. But I've used an upside-down fez, the one long Technic tube thing, and I don't actually know what it is. It might be a droid head or something. I think in black. I think it might actually be a recolored version of BB-8's head. I saw somebody use it as the top of a chimney, and I've used it as the base, and it's worked out quite well.
Oh, does it have a Technic axle hole through the middle?
No, it doesn't. I'll upload a picture of it once we finish the podcast, so you can put it up on the thing.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, that would be helpful. Right. Okay, we'll move on to wagon of the podcast. See a theme in these. So we've got Chris talking about his Irn Bru tankers because he is Irn Bru obsessed. Chris, do you want to describe your wagons a bit, and then we'll obviously put photos and link up to your Facebook page because this is Glasgow Subway on Facebook. Is it Glasgow Brick Subway? I never remember.
Glasgow Brick Subway because I felt that it would appear when people were searching for things that weren't Lego related to annoy folk.
That is your primary objective in life, isn't it? Just to annoy people.
Oh, I wonder what's going off in Glasgow. And then my thing will pop up and they'll be like, oh, Christ. Let's not
Stay away.
What a sad man he is, yeah. What have you done?
As everyone in the world knows, I'm in charge of Glasgow Brick Subway. Originally started off as a subway with one train. So originally I just had the one train and a station. That was all I was going to build. And then as things went on, I decided I was going to build a bit of overground over the top, and it became a full layout. So then I decided I need a train on top.
This is how Lego projects break your bank, because you think, I'll just build this, and then you get more ideas. Then you think, well, I'll just add a bridge, and I'll add a pub, a tower block.
But the
some more
bridge would look silly without train tracks and trains
It
on
would,
top.
yeah, quite right. Yeah.
Oh, and it looks a bit bare without cars and people. I best build some. Oh, the other side of the street's empty. I best build another. And you've got a town. Oh yeah, that's how the Irn Bru tankers became.
What are they propelled by? What have you built to propel them by?
They're currently dragged along by an Irn Bru Gronk, but loosely based on the Class 08. This is the Bru Class 08. I heard that sigh from here.
This is that's designed by, I think his name is
Something
Kida?
Maseo?
Yeah, so he's a Japanese guy who's got a video of a BR Class 08 Lego build with a parts list, which is really handy on YouTube. So if you Google BR Class 08 Lego, that video usually comes top, and it's a model that quite a lot of our members have used as a basis to build their own BR Class 8s and variations.
I'm currently building my third.
They do get addictive, and that's expensive as well. So you've got to have them in different liveries.
Yes, you do.
You're building a third Gronk. I thought you only had two.
Oh no! I've got the Bru class, which is blue and orange, like Irn Bru. Yeah. Best-selling drink in Britain. Just a little plug there.
Cough Scotland.
Are you
It's the 8th best-selling drink in Britain. Soft drink, only behind Pepsi and Coke products, which is quite
depressing statement of the world we live in, but yeah.
Isn't it the most popular in Scotland?
What sells Red Bull and Monster, which was a surprise.
That is, well, I suppose Red Bull and Monster kind of take each other's sales.
I suppose they do. But yeah, just got off track. Irn Bru, Bru Class 08. I've got an Intercity livery 08. I'm currently building a yellow industrial 08.
That based on a prototype, or is that just you fancy building one?
They're all based on pictures of real ones I've seen.
That'd be one of the civil engineering ones. Yellow.
I'm not too sure. I know it is basically practically entirely yellow except for the odd black part.
I think it's a Network Row one.
Aye.
Because all their kit's in yellow, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move on to a bit of a Lego train news section, and some of you might have seen a Lego crocodile train, a brown one, which has been circulating as a bit of a rumour. So over to Will on this one.
So yes, first thing we know is the number is free and has yet to be assigned. That's about all we know, to be honest, at the moment. The picture is a little bit grainy, but there's a second picture that's less grainy, a bit out of package. So it's potentially right. I've been looking for parts that I think are unlikely to exist, and I can't identify any. The only thing that really threw me off when I first saw it was the what looks like the old Star Wars Clone Wars line of bricks at the bottom. But apparently that's something they're adding to their new set, so it might actually be legit. But my opinion is I'm not getting excited about this until we officially find out what that number set is called and whether it is actually the crocodile, because it seems so left field to me.
Yeah, I mean they've done crocodiles before, haven't they? There was the hobby train, which was a sort of larger one with a Swiss flag in the side, and then there was a 9-volt era crocodile train, which is a really nice set. Actually, I've got that.
So, from a prototype point of view, it's not too out there. It's just they don't do individual locos anymore, and they don't do adult aimed locos anymore. They haven't done for a long time, and it's just come out of absolutely nowhere after years of them banging on saying we just don't do that anymore. Like them, the company literally saying they don't do it anymore. It seems odd.
a bit like the pirate ship, though, because see, there's now the Beta pirate ship set has been released. Also, this Pirates of Barracuda Bay. That was a Lego Ideas set, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of there's 2 pirate ships in a year, which some of which is probably uncontrollable with the way that the Lego Ideas process works. The timing could have been a bit better there, but so I guess it's possible. But I think my instinct is it's probably not real.
So the only thing in its favour from where I'm sitting is, why on earth did they do that 40th anniversary freebie, which is the 40th anniversary of a set nobody cares about, not of anything interesting, if it wasn't to test the waters to see whether people were interested in an exclusive train? Because I know a lot of people who weren't train fans went out and bought big expensive sets so they could get that train for free. So I'm wondering whether that was testing the waters for this. That's the only sort of ray of maybe it is a thing I can think of.
If you with you mentioning the Star Wars thing along the bottom of the box idea, they're going to start using.
Yeah, apparently that is actually on the
Haunted House.
Fairground Haunted House set. So that I hadn't seen that set when I first saw the photograph of this, and I was like, well, that's bullshit. That's 5-year-old Star Wars artwork you're using there. But apparently they are using that.
Biggest problem I see with that is I've done a hell of a lot of Star Wars stuff that's just basically big slabs of grey bricks. Are they going to do a load of brown, just a little bit more exciting?
What?
The new train, instead of being the boring old grey, they're now going to make something enormous that's just brown.
Have you? You're not talking about the excessive use of brown bricks that you would get from anything Star Wars in grey, but there's also an excessive use of black bricks too.
Ooh. I'll help you out with one and twos that you need.
Bloody would. Well, I mean that's the thing I've said. If it is a real set, because I try and support all train releases, because it's the only way you're ever going to get good ones is if you make them think that it's worth releasing good ones. I will definitely buy it, and then the first thing I do would be completely redesign the undercarriage, because looking at that model, it is articulated in 3 lumps rather than what an actual crocodile is, which is 2 powered bogies with the engines on top, and then the cab hanging over the middle, with not actually connected directly to the wheels.
Am I right in saying the Orient Express didn't work properly on Lego's own track?
Orient Express? You mean the Emerald Knight?
It's the one.
It did. That did work all right. The problem was there was a slight design flaw in the rods, which meant if you weren't lucky or you hadn't put it together very well, they bound. The motor was rubbish. The way the motor was attached was rubbish, and don't get me started on that, please.
It doesn't fill me with much confidence that the brown chocolate crocodile would work very well on the bends and.
No, I think that should work all right. Looking at it,
probably why it's been hinged in 3 sections for each bogie.
The reason they've done that's a purely practical one, but unlike Emerald Knight, which was just a litany of, well, we'll sacrifice this in order for that, until you got this sort of big lump of a thing that kind of looks like a steam engine, but God knows which one. This one, if it is real, they've done a fantastic job on the top, and they've done the best they can on the bottom. So, I'm a lot less critical. It's like the Disney train and the most recent Harry Potter loco, at least. It looks like they've seen the prototype, if it's Lego at all. It does look a bit too much like a mock for me, though. That's the thing that worries me.
It seems quite bulky for it.
Well, I mean, apparently the rumor is the recommended retail's about $100. So if it is real and that is the retail, that'd be about £100. And looking at the size of it, yeah, I could see that being a £100 set. I don't know how Lego think they could sell a £100 loco on its own without a track, probably with no motor, definitely potentially with no way of motorizing it. I don't know. It just seems so left field to me that I refuse to get my hopes up on this one.
Yeah, not even sold them with controllers anymore.
Well, yeah, that too.
The only thing I can think of for motorising is they're going to use the standard train motor in the centre two wheels that are connected.
Too far apart.
That's true.
If it was motorised, it would probably be the centre wheels that are motorised, but it'd have to be, an actual motor. I don't think there's any part of that loco which is the right spacing for a train motor.
No. The only other thing I could think of then is they're going to use their Control Plus app and do it that way.
Well, yeah, but you still need to motorise it somehow.
Oh, yeah. But it saves having to...
Mobile phone rubbish.
I was going to say, it saves having to do with the motor polarity issue. Because obviously you've got one turning a different way to the other one. But that might be fixable with gearing anyway.
I'm just trying to get a picture of the of this potential set. Of course, there's been half a dozen YouTube videos, all of which have gone, look at this picture we've seen. We don't know if it's real.
Look at this picture. I don't know anything about it.
It's been quite funny watching people go, yeah, new set, and other people going, it's fake. And me going, neither of you have any idea, do you? Yeah, the only direct picture I can find that isn't off YouTube is Imager. I don't know whether that's where they've got it from.
That is where the links I saw went to.
Yeah. It's not. I'm sure I saw a higher quality image than this one, though, but maybe I'm just dreaming.
What I know of is the one on the box, which is all black quality, and then the one that's linked, the Imager one, and the train's pointing the other direction.
Well, it's the front end's identical, so both ends are identical, so it can't point.
The angle is.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a box and I've seen out of the box, and those are both definitely the same model. There's no doubt about it. And then I've seen a third one, which is very clearly not the same model at all, but I'm pretty certain that's been added by one or two members of the various Facebook groups who just haven't bothered to research it enough to see if the picture that they've added to that is the same train or not. That looks like Holger Mathias's version,
Yeah.
The third one I've seen. I'm not entirely convinced this isn't also inspired by him, but if it is, they're going to have done some work on it or created some new pieces, because there's some pieces that don't exist in reddish brown in Holger's design.
Well, is that about it for the crocodile?
I think so. So until we find out, until Lego publish a list of numbers with names, we can't really know whether this is true or not. But I'm just hoping it is, because I'd really like another train, please.
The only thing I will point out is with the Haunted House leak, the official set was announced the following week. So
yeah, the Haunted House already exists. I've seen it reviewed by Bricks. So obviously the Haunted House was further down the line than this is, if this is real.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that's a great example. I mean, I'm 50% certain that this is not a photograph of a box, but rendered box art anyway. It just, something about it doesn't look like an actual photograph of a box. Just for the initial reason, I didn't think it was real. But no, I mean, he has actually reviewed the house, so I can only assume he's got a preview copy off Lego with that one, because I thought that was very early.
Yeah, normally what they do is they're doing a tie-in. They sort of give quite a few reviewers a copy of the set anyway.
And also, I didn't notice him say anything about this is not bought by Lego, so that kind of gives it away.
We move on to the. Bill's got a bit of promo to do.
So yes, a bite-sized version of the playout has technically already appeared on the Northern Brickworks Virtual Bricks 2. If you head over to Northern Brickworks' YouTube page, all of their videos for this Virtual Brick Show and the previous Virtual Brick Show are on there to be watched. It's a great way to try and do a Lego show without being able to do a Lego show. Don't know when this will this podcast will go out, so it'd probably be too late for tomorrow, Monday's events. But although you won't be able to interact with the 2 or 3 live events, you will be able to watch them, rewatch them, and watch all of the pre-recorded videos of all the attractions. Nice way to spend a couple of hours looking at pretending you're doing a Lego show, basically.
I think one of our other layouts is on that. It's the Darrington one. The Felpersham layout is in that as well, from some footage from Glasgow Brick Show last year.
Is that on tomorrow, is it?
Yes, I think that's on tomorrow afternoon.
Are they catering for any of our underground fans?
No, because you didn't submit anything, did you? And you're the only underground fan.
Surely there's more than just me.
No, Isaac threw his design away, and then you found it in a dustbin.
It was behind the dustbin, actually.
Is it making a tunnel for freedom?
Now it's...
Thanks for listening to the LNUR Lines podcast. We'll be back hopefully in a week or two with another cast, and the topic we've picked is going to be motorizing and power systems for trains. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've also got a YouTube channel which we've just started recently, so just search LNUR and you'll be able to find us there.